Good morning. Happy Saturday. Tater got her last shots on Friday, so she is now a street walking dog. She's fully immunized, so Mama's walking her and Holly to get her used to the leash right now. So maybe you'll start seeing Tater in some upcoming videos. I don't know. Anyway, Ben Balian linked to a Joshua Martinez video. Joshua Martinez, you may remember him. James Freeman was promoting him. Joshua Martinez is a sovereign citizen who got convicted of causing disorderly conduct at a federal court in, I think it was Las Vegas. And James was very upset about that. Anyway, in this video that Van Balian linked, it was Joshua Martinez standing up for his human right to travel. And I wouldn't have really remarked anything on it. I mean, it's pretty dumb. He just makes the standard nonsense sovereign citizen arguments. But then I saw a Matt Christensen, who is a political commenter. I saw one of his videos that he made yesterday about natural rights. And he was trying to defend natural rights as an actual thing. And it's really cringy. And normally I somewhat enjoy Matt Christensen videos. They're a guilty pleasure. I mean, he believes what I believe insofar as free speech and you shouldn't censor and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that was just really cringy. Natural rights, human rights, divine rights, things like that don't exist. And I say that simply because they are no more real than Santa Claus or God or fairies or anything like that. They just don't exist. They are creations of the human imagination. And they're a pretty useless creation of the human imagination because they are basically just an appeal to authority. I think this thing should be a right, and therefore I will call it a insert whatever flavor of right you think it should be. And how dare you argue, how dare you deny me my insert flavor of whatever you think the right should be. It's my human right, it's my natural right. It's, you know, Bernie Sanders with his Medicare, what is it? Health care for all is it's a fundamental human right. Yeah, no, dude, it's not. Rights are things you can enforce. That's step one. So if we codify any of these things that you think are natural, basic, human, whatever, divine rights, God-given rights, if we codify them and you can enforce them, then all of a sudden it becomes a right. It's enforceable. They can't take it away from you. No one can take it away from you. Whereas your natural rights, they don't exist. They're not legally recognized. They can be taken away from you because they're whatever you think is right. It's just an effort by the person who's claiming it's a natural, human, fundamental, divine, God-given right. It's just a ploy. They're just claiming it. And you know that they're not natural, fundamental, human, God-given, divine rights because they don't exist throughout time or throughout the world. I mean, 100 years ago, 150 years ago or so, 160 years ago, slavery was legal. Keeping people in bondage was legal. And I'm not talking about the kinky San Francisco kind of bondage. It was legal. Now it's not. People didn't have any problem with it, generally speaking, 160 years ago. The war between the states wasn't fought over slavery, it was fought over states' rights. I know you don't want to think that. You want to think that the North was just all good people and there were no racists in the North. Well, congratulations, kids. There are racists everywhere. And they didn't fight the war over slavery. World War II, the Germans were putting Jews in concentration camps. The US didn't rush into Germany to save the Jews. The US was busy putting the Japanese in concentration camps. The US didn't join World War II because the Jews were in trouble. They joined World War II because Pearl Harbor was bombed by the Japanese. And because Germany was a Japanese ally. And because we had the British and the Russians who would attack the Japanese with us because they were already at war with the Japanese. So it made sense to go in against the whole Axis or whatever. Russia, when they liberated concentration camps in Poland and East Germany, oh, they were the saviors, right? Oh, wait, except they had gulags of their own. Now, today we thrust our noses up in the air, and we say, oh, these guys are terribly immoral. But at the time, they didn't see themselves that way. Their society didn't see them that way. Matt Christensen asked, well, what if one state legalized cold-blooded murder, and they said that you got a right to kill people willy-nilly? Right? What if a state did that? Well, would that make it morally right? Well, whose morality are we talking about? Because here's the fundamental issue. There were states where murder is or was legal for different things, obviously. There are states where they practice human sacrifice. There are, like in China, it's not considered immoral, or at least my understanding of it, it's not considered immoral to kill your firstborn or to kill daughters until you get a son. It's a byproduct of their system, of their one child per family system. I don't know if they relaxed that. That was a big talking point at one point in time. I probably should check that, but you get the point. In the Middle East, there are states where it's okay to just kill gay people. Toss them off roofs. Stone them to death. It's fine. A woman has premarital sex, or I've heard stories about it anyway, the tribal council will have her raped to death by 40 dudes. You know, it's different cultures have different morals. There is no single unifying morality through human history. 100,000 years roughly of humans on this planet. I don't know, maybe 10,000 years of codified laws. Hammurabi's Code wasn't 10,000 years ago, it's probably more like 6 or 7. But human morality changes. It changes over time due to various influences. The pressure of how many people are living in a particular stretch of land will change the kind of morality that you could have. That's why there's a fundamental split between the packed cities in morality and the less populated countryside in morality. Packed cities are like, yeah, abortion's fine, go to it, generally speaking. The countryside, generally speaking, is no, abortion is a crime. Abortion is murder. Generally speaking, they're facing two different sets of pressures. In the countryside, there's no pressure of person on top of person in a city. It's a different pressure. Gun laws can be more relaxed. Everything can be more relaxed in the country because there's not as much pressure from society, from people on people contact, constant human contact. Anyway, I know I'm getting a little ramble here, but the point is that there is no such thing as a natural right, as a human right, as a God-given right, as a divine right unless or until it is codified in an enforceable law. And then it becomes a legal right. And then it becomes enforceable. And arguing a natural right in a court of law that recognizes laws and legal rights is dumb. And Joshua Martinez is dumb. There's a phone call. I might, if I find it, I might link to it. There's a phone call where he makes from prison where he's ecstatic that he got one over on the judge. He's making a phone call from jail or prison, explaining how he got one over on the judge. He's making a phone call from jail or prison, or he's explaining how he's making a phone call from jail. He didn't fucking get one over on the judge. That's what these numbskulls don't get. You didn't get one over. He got the judge to admit that the injured party, that the victim was the city. Yeah, and duh. Normally it's a state, but if it's a city ordinance, then the victim would be the city. Oh, then he wanted to have it removed to federal court because now it's between a city and a person. That's crazy, because every prosecution is the city v or the state v. That's why Kansas v. Glover is in the Supreme Court. Not because of some sort of a weird diversity jurisdiction that Joshua Martinez thinks exists, but because it ran all the way up through the state Supreme Court, and there is a federal question. It's federal question jurisdiction. Fourth Amendment. Is it reasonable suspicion if a owner of a vehicle has a suspended license to pull over that vehicle? Is there reasonable suspicion there? It's a federal question. Just because a state is the victim and the state is prosecuting doesn't mean that there is an issue. It's the prosecution arms, the DA or the city's prosecutor that's actually doing the prosecuting, and the judiciary that's doing the judging. There's no issue there. It's pretty dumb. Anyway, I've rambled long enough. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend.